Hi everyone, it's me. Today going a little old school with it and streaming in portrait. I don't like streaming in landscape, but as of right now I don't have a choice because something is wrong with the webcam on my laptop. But improvise, adapt, and overcome. So here we are. Um, so I just want to say, if you like my channel, please like and subscribe. There's a notifications bell down in the corner, and it will let you know when I go and get notified as to when I go live. If you want to support me in my mission, in the descriptions, there is a PayPal link and there is an Amazon wish list. Hi, Lady Lilac. Okay, so last time I talked to everybody, I had just been denied Social Security, and I was really upset and it was very, very hard. Hi, Tatum. So that day, I also got an opportunity. Hi, Megan. Where my boss came in, thank you, Tatum, and called me and was like, hey, we have another project. And as something, hi, Jules. And what a lot of people don't know is that, thank you, you'd roxify. I appreciate that. So what people did, I work. I have a couple of jobs, and they're just not like what you would expect, like the normal 9 to 5 work, and income is very sketchy a lot of times. And so I thought about it, and I'm like, after processing for a little while, I realized as long as I have stable housing, let's reach for the stars. Like, I never thought I would be here. I never thought that I would be able to speak in a manner that people could relate to and people would find inspiring. So it's time to jump. 1, 2, jump. I used to say it when I was younger, and I think it still holds true. Um, So I think I'm going to do more speaking events, some traveling, and that should be exciting. And then, and then, the reason that today's vlog is called Leveling Up is because life seems to is if you play video games, you will know that as you go through, things get harder. And as they get harder, it's teaching you skills to be able to get through the next level when you level up. So once you reach all these challenges and you get all the stuff you need to get from that level, you get another set of challenges that this level just gave you the skill set to be able to deal with. And I think that that's true in life. I think that everything that has happened to me in my past has given me a skill set to deal with things that and trauma and things that I'm having to deal with now. One thing, this is very personal and I don't talk a lot about it, is my son is an alcoholic, a very severe alcoholic. And I had him, his girlfriend, and the baby staying with me earlier in the year for a while. And they said they were taking a trip and they ended up just going around the country. They're now in Denver, Colorado. And it's very difficult because, on one hand, I don't have a problem. I can't end it's frustrating, and it leads to this futility and thought, like, this is what I do. I help people. I get them to services. I give outreach supplies. And I can't help my child. And it's so frustrating. And then to think, I've got 2 grandbabies that are 2 and under, and they're in a situation where they're in a car and in and out of hotels and not being able to develop fully and lead these beautiful lives that they should be with positive people in a village. And instead, they are subjected to the whims of their parents who, regardless of whether, it's my son doing it or anybody else doing it, it's wrong. Children need stability. And, when people are giving reasons for running, like thinking that they're going to have their children taken away because they're homeless, if that was the case, we wouldn't have family shelters, and we do. Your children don't get taken away because you're homeless. Your children get taken away because there is a question of neglect. There is a question of safe conditions. And that's not just safe as in, surroundings. It's safe as in how are they being treated? Is the person able to watch out for them? And so this has all been going down. And he's not thinking rationally and in the middle of a binge on drinking. And this is all, just so everybody knows, this is like my last week, and that is why I have not been on. Um, yes, social care is not is not well in the United States. I could do a million more vlogs on our social care system, but in the end, here's the only thing. This is what we need to happen: human and environmental rights. Like, we have a declaration of universal human rights. And I have no idea what keeps happening, like I said, but you know what? This is a perfect example. Improvise, adapt, and overcome. For some reason, it just went blank and out for some reason. And here I am back again. Not a broken webcam, not sketchy service, not emergencies through family. So anyway, we had gone, and not we. I called social services, or CPS, Child Protective Services, to get a check on them. And the problem was they couldn't find them. And so he had called another family member, really drunk, and there's already been domestic violence, and he was getting above and over. We weren't there, so we didn't witness. Thank you. I appreciate that, Tatum. So we didn't witness anything, but I had to call the police and tell them an area maybe to look at, and they couldn't find him. And it's just the most insane feeling, because I know if the parents were thinking correctly, they would know that they wouldn't want their children in that situation, whether it's them in that situation or somebody else. They would look at somebody else's situation and go, oh, you can't have children in that, and yet they're doing it. And so it's very hard to be like, I know that by doing what is necessary will in all likelihood damage my relationship with my child. But in the end, I also feel like I have to do what's right to protect my grandchildren. And so it's been a mess with, I do want to, I'll get into that in a minute. But it's been a mess. It's been very emotional. It's been very terrifying, scary. And the fact that nobody can act. Literally have to wait till there is incident in progress, laying eyes on the incident and call. And being in Seattle, that is just very difficult. So still thinking about maybe taking a trip out to Colorado somehow, but I'm not sure. So there's that. And then, so that's what I've been kind of dealing with all week. Here's the thing though. And here's where I'm talking about how life hands us skill sets to be able to deal with challenges. I've dealt with addiction in other parts of life, mother, father. I had my stint with alcohol. My ex-husband is a severe alcoholic. My son is a severe alcoholic. And the thing is all of the sudden I'm dealing with this and I run into Seattle Harm Reduction Coalition and start working with, the harm reduction people out of UW and start working with medical providers, start looking into the community and start really getting involved. And then this happens with my own child. And then I realize even if I am having significant challenges, life is still preparing me and giving me skill sets so that I can deal with that and come through it in a healthy, manageable way. And I'm very thankful for that. So that's what I mean by leveling up, is that life has this way of, handing skills out needed for the challenges that rise next. And I'm not saying that I'm thankful that I went through a bunch of trauma. I'm saying that for some reason I have a skill set or skills to be able to deal with things that happen from this point on. Now, on a huge plus side, Stephanie donated an amazing array of things, and her donations were split between Seattle Homeless Outreach, Seattle Dogs Homeless Program. I handed some out, Seattle Harm Reduction Coalition, and other people. So those donations went really, really far. Remember, we need those fentanyl testing strips. It's huge. We are trying desperately to figure out a way to get more Narcan. Everybody's kind of running out. Public health isn't issuing as many as they were. And then I want to thank Liz, who has been there on the phone with me, dealing with my just, because my head is spinning from all of this. Kat, I want to thank you for your support. Kate, you fed so many people with the outreach supplies that you brought yesterday. I want you to know that not only that, but today those supplies went and people were so grateful. And the amount of people that were hungry it was so great to be able to give them one of those packs that you made. You made a huge difference, and it is so appreciated. And Bill, thank you. Thank you for respecting me as an advocate. Thank you for having me on the team. Thank you for being there and doing everything you do for the unhoused population. Seriously, you do a lot. And then Roxanne, who sent the canning supplies, awesome. Thank you. It is berry season, like full on berry season, and I'm like, I get to pick berries. And then I'm gonna like make jellies and jams and all the fun stuff. So there's that. And today it was, today is Harm Reduction Sunday. So on Sundays we go out and do harm reduction and hand out harm reduction supplies. And it was, okay, number one, I totally forgot that Pride was this weekend because I've been dealing with some other things. And so I go in all dark colors, like hospital pants with paint on them, and get downtown in the middle of a pride parade. And I'm like, oh, no way. Like, can I look any more dark? And then I couldn't get across the street, so I'm trying to figure out a way. And, the thing is when I go through really difficult times, it's very difficult for me to like ride a bus. Being around that amount of people, and it just gives me a lot of anxiety. So I had splurged a bit. I try not to do that, but I had splurged and gotten a Lyft ride to downtown. So I was actually able to go because otherwise I didn't think I was going to be able to go do outreach today. And So I was able to go and do that, and still we handed out like fentanyl strips were out, Narcan, needles. We collected a bunch of needles, but most of it, people wanted water or things. There was this girl, and she's sick, sick, like, and so young, but really, really sick, and kind of waited for her to kind of come around when she needed to sit for a while, and helped her roll up her sleeping bag. And she had this beautiful hair, like this really dark, luscious, like mop of long hair. And she's like, I just, do you have a comb? And I remember from being outside how important, how many, well, number one, how many combs I broke on this thing, this hair, and how it brought dignity to have a brush. It brought humanity back to be able to perform hygiene tasks. And so, as luck would have it, we are right now, like we do it outside of Payless because they shut down, so there's no like store in front of the store, and we go in the front of the storefront, and next door is Sally Beauty Supply. So I was able to like run on. I mean, I don't usually do that because we hand out enough outreach or whatever, but it just I remember. So I ran and got her brush real quick, and she's like, would you mind if I kept it? I'm like, oh no, it's all yours. Have it. Have it. And it was like orange and pink. So I thought that was pretty rockin'. But see, that's the thing is I am enabled to do all these positive things because people believe in me and people have given me, yes, and I understand when people say, oh, I did it all by myself. You're talking about the work that, nobody can take steps but you. But the thing is people can lay down an easier path for those steps to land on. And yes, I've worked very, very hard. Yes, I have made amazing steps. But let me tell you that along the way, people have come together to make my path easier. Um, Hi, Elvira. I'm going to start. I think of any questions. I'm going to start addressing comments now. Um, you'd rock, Sapphire. How do you remain so positive despite all the circumstances? I deal with someone close to me who is also an alcoholic. It's hard to get alone with them most of the time. Um, Hi, Leo. Okay, here's the thing, and it's really difficult because for me, I have to approach it. I do have feelings about it. I have a lot of emotions about it. But in the end, this is a very ill person that I'm dealing with. Oh, hi. You were at CrossCon? Awesome. So this is a very, very sick person that I'm dealing with, whether that be my son or whoever or whatever. He's sick right now. He's diagnosed mentally. He's got some mental illness that is unmedicated and untreated. And it's not that the mental illness is an issue, it's not. But when you are unmedicated and untreated, it can become very, very dangerous when combined with substance use. So, I would say that positivity, there are going to be negative and positive things every day, every single day. The problem is that when bad things happen, it hits the feels more. It hits that that fight or flight, that adrenaline. Whereas the positive things, I think, I go along my day, I'm like, oh, that's positive, that's great, that's pretty, that's shiny, that's awesome, that's, whatever. And yes, that's how I go about my day. But it's concentrating on those things that need to be concentrated on. Bad things are going to happen. I am going to always have challenges that come. But how I react to those challenges will define who I am as a human being. And that's not to say I'm always going to make the right choice. I am learning. Um, every day. I learn so much. As a matter of fact, surprise of all surprises, I have a viewer who invited me, Dr. Nina, had invited me to watch her channel. And it's, of course, a much, much different vlog than I have. And, but the thing is she said something in at the end of one of her vlogs about, everybody likes shiny, everybody likes luxury, everybody likes beauty. And I agree that everybody likes beauty. That but I think that we need to find that adrenaline with the positive that we get with the negative and feel just as strongly about the positive things in my life. And I think that honestly is where gratitude comes in. And sometimes I need to just breathe and remember that in this world, I am blessed. Not only do I have the things I need, I have some of the things I want. And I have my needs met. I don't have to be scared. I don't have to worry. I just have to reach my hand out to others and help them through it, because I know that fear. I understand that fear. Um, oh, hi, Leo. It was nice to meet you across cut. Thanks, Kat. Yes, I do, Megan, and I appreciate everybody that loves me and reaches out in these positive, amazing ways. It really, that adds to the beauty in my life. I was telling Pat today at Harm Reduction, and he's like, how do you get supplies? And I'm like, well, here's the thing. I put a call out for supplies. I ask for them. I put them on a wish list. And if they come, they come. If they don't, then I brush up on knowledge so that I can tell people who has supplies, where to go for supplies. Because in the end, whether I have things tangible or not, I have the ability to have knowledge to help people. And that's very, I think that that's where it is just trusting. It's probably the worst advice in the world for living a life, but just, and I'm saying this with zero religious overtones, walk in faith. It's one life, and you either get through it or you don't. And in the end, if I don't make it as long as some, then I want my life to have an extremely positive impact as much as possible. That's really important to me. But what else is important to me, and that's actually kind of why I brought up also Dr. Nina and my friend Liz and Kate and Kat and Laura and Bill. These people remind me on a regular basis to also care for me. And care for me doesn't mean, that I go and, like go crazy, spoil myself, whatever. Totally got a bougie Starbucks though. Thank you, Bill, today. My Starbucks orders are so extra. But totally needed it. But I think it's important to, when I talk about caring for myself, allowing myself to dream and want. And not feel guilty about that. Not feeling guilty about wanting to be on a kayak in the middle of wherever, in a lake, Not feeling guilty about those things. And understanding that I want for everyone what I have, and that's safety and knowledge to get through it, and heart and soul. I want to build people up, but I also need to build myself up too. And that's really important, and it's a lesson that I'm learning. Like I'm going through life learning stuff. I think that, we all bloom at our own pace. Okay, I'm going to address some more comments here. Local tourists, we're as safe as it gets. Yeah, safety is definitely an illusion, but it's very important to feel comfort in one's environment and to feel like your space is your own. And there is an autonomy in that, and that is extremely important, um, especially in today's climate. Thank you, local tourists. Hi, Kay. Blessings. Thanks, you Rockify. Shell, hi. Uh, Local tourists, you've come along. I have come a long way. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I, I am farther than I ever thought I would be. Ever. I have, I mean, what is it, 2019? So, a little over 4 or 5 years ago, I wanted my life to end. I wanted to be dead so badly. And now, I'm able to do things that I just did not think I was strong enough or that were possible. And I live a life of fulfillment. And that isn't, I live a life of fulfillment regardless of the challenges that are coming my way. Hydroxify, I think with the mindset I saw it become a challenge. It is very, very hard to get that perspective. But the thing is it's like anything else. We believe what we tell ourselves because there are thoughts. There are thought patterns. And if we can't control our thoughts, then what can we control? We know we can't control the outside world. So when we look at deep down at what we can control, we have to really learn, and myself especially, was getting in the habit of, well, what is beautiful around me? Okay, well, calm down. Stop your, do you have everything you need? Make your checklist, whatever it is. Do you have everything you need? Do you, are you safe in this moment? Is focus on something, even, anywhere. It doesn't matter whether, you're under a bridge or wherever you are, there is something to be grateful for. You know, in the midst of it. And the thing is I'm going to say there was something for me to be grateful for. I don't think it's right. People are grateful for different things, and I don't think that we should force gratitude on anyone. So, I mean, yes, Kat, I did paint that behind me. Hi, Christine. Hold on. I'm going to show it. Yeah, I hung it up that I painted and finally got up on the wall. Um, so yeah, I was pretty happy with that. I'm sorry if it sounds offensive or ignorant, but to what extent homelessness is a choice? Life can strip everything away from a person in a snap. Oh, hi, Kate. Thank you, Kat. Okay, number one, here's the way I look at this. When we talk about choice, there needs to be another choice. If someone is unhoused and they say, "Oh yeah, I'm a traveler. I choose this," or somebody says somebody chooses it, ask them what the other choice was. Because 9 times out of 10, it's a question of autonomy. I want to feel like I have a control over my situation. And when we look at choices, we all make choices, but is the catalyst really what causes it? And most of the time, it's no. Most of the time, we have to go back, way back into the ACEs study, which is Adverse Childhood Experiences. You'll hear me talk about that on my vlog a lot because it is amazing how, and I'm back. But anyway, what I was saying was that ACEs are a really good indicator. Foster care, there is, I think what we need people to understand the most is during any trauma, is in especially in childhood and throughout, not especially, trauma in general changes you, a person, human being, species, whatever it is, physiologically. Which means when we undergo an assault, violence, accident, whatever the trauma may be, rape, whatever, it causes changes in our cells. It causes changes to our DNA. It causes changes in our genetic structure. And there have been numerous studies about this. And even in the brain structuring, which in essence is why I'm worried about my grandchildren, is they're at a very, very neurologically sensitive age. And to be living in an environment where there is substance abuse going on and unstable and, all of these things, I know that that's physiologically changing their genetic structure and their brains. And that's why it is, be just on a purely academic level, it's so scary and frightening. And on a grandparent level, I'm not even gonna go there as far as my feelings and stuff. I will have my feelings about it once everything's okay. Um, so okay. Hi, Emily. Yeah, I'm good. I'm doing well. Thank you, Miss Casual Viewer. So does anybody have any other questions or... So back to choice. Unless there's a choice of being stably housed, then that's not much of a choice. Um, and and the thing is I think a lot of people say, well, couldn't they live with parents or aunts or uncles or sisters or brothers or whatever? And a lot of times that's not a healthy option. Um, when you look at people who have are not having a whole lot of support, most of the time their support system cannot be there in the first place. Um, it is really difficult, Christine. But the thing is I'm trying to look at this from a perspective that will help matters and not make things worse on everybody. In other words, there are facts that need to be addressed, such as substance abuse and physical abuse. Um, we know now that police and CPS do not really intervene unless you are literally watching the incident go down with your eyes and call them. It's frightening, and when you're looking at mental illness and all of that, it is. But here's the thing, I may not have been able to reach them and get them services, but I can still work on helping others and still make a difference. It is so important to just keep keep on keeping on. um, San Diego is spending 11 million on affordable housing. Anyone from San Diego? I don't know. Is anybody from San Diego? I'm not sure how many California viewers I have. Hold on, I need some coffee. Any other questions or anything for me today? Hope is so important. Hope and dignity. And I was talking about that earlier too with somebody. I said there's a real disconnect when you, especially when I was first housed, by going out, and now I have the ability, like I have a little makeup and I'm able to shower, curl my hair, my clothes are clean. At the way I was treated by the same people that humiliated me and looked at me with disgust earlier. And they didn't remember my face because I was the grungy homeless woman. but I know who they are. And it is a disconnect because now, oh, all of a sudden I'm a peer. But before I was an animal. And there is definitely a disconnect with that. And it's really hard to try to explain to people that once people are housed, they're just your neighbors, they're your peers. That's their income is of no importance to you. Thank you, Manuel. I'm actually gonna go a little more pink. I'm working now. How's that going? I've been working for a while. I've had a job for for over a year now. The thing is, like I said, it's not it's contractual work. I'm a displacement consultant and I'm a community liaison for the unhoused population. And I'm also, of course, a blogger, as you all know. And I'm an advocate for Homeless Alliance for All. And Bill can put up the information for that. Um, so yeah, I love my job, but here's the thing: it's it's not based on it's never been based on, how much it's going to bring in. Um, so what about children and homelessness? What happens to babies born to the homeless? They get care. I mean, that's poverty doesn't make you a bad parent. That has nothing to do with how you are going to parent. Poverty has zero to do with being a good parent. Now, with that being said, the issue that we have is not children. I mean, yes, we don't want children homeless, but that's a human rights issue across the board. No one should be unhoused. We have a lot of people that are like, well, what about the veterans? Or what about the children? Or what about this group or that group? Here's the thing: you cannot remove the habitat from any species and have them be safe and healthy. Period. Not human beings, not birds, not bees, not fish, none of it. You remove and you destroy their habitat and you have an unhealthy species. End of story. That's just fact. And so the thing is if a child is born to parents who are impoverished, that's okay. Let's get them the resources they need to continue to parent. Doesn't make them bad parents. We just need to support them in being better parents. And then but the thing is no state ever takes children because somebody's homeless. If there are issues of neglect or abuse, that's one thing. And like with my grandchildren, that's what we're looking at, is the fact that there is substance abuse, mental illness, and abuse going on outside of that. It isn't the fact that anybody is homeless. That doesn't make people bad parents. And no, I would, if the state was rounding up homeless children and taking them, number one, there is no way that we have the resources for that. Um, we already can't, there are children who are in crack homes or in being, we can't even take care of the children that we have. And the foster care system, don't get me started on that. I aged out of the foster care system, and you will find that a high percentage, way over half, of homeless individuals at some point have been in foster care. But if people were just taking babies away from the homeless, I would be screaming at the courts. That is, poverty does not define whether a parent is good or not. And I think that we as a society really need to come to terms with that, because there's so many times where child abuse goes unreported because the parents are well to do, or they wouldn't do that, they're educated, or they seemed so lovely, and then they've got two kids locked in a basement. Like, no, it's if you are an abuser, you're an abuser. I mean, that's rich, poor, and in between. um all homeless should be placed in tiny homes with assistant. I disagree with you on that. That I absolutely disagree with that. I think that tiny homes are definitely a positive step. It is transitional housing. Um, but would I have gone to a tiny home village myself? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Um, there are people that it works for. There are people that won't go. I chose not to go to shelter as well. Um, I would rather have my own personal space. The thing is there are different, we can't ever overgeneralize and say all homeless people should, all homeless people that. What we can say is, for the majority of the unhoused, permanent supportive housing is where it's at. How do we get people to permanent supportive housing? Well, that would be tiny homes, authorized encampments. Those are transitional, which means they are not meant for people to stay. Tiny homes are not, for the most part, and yes, there are exceptions. So if you know of an exception or you heard of a person who knows of an exception, please do not email me. But for the majority, tiny homes are not HGTV tiny homes. They are sheds that are decorated on the outside to give the person a sense of joy and beauty and autonomy. They have a locking door. But these are not places for anybody to live in any long term type situation. Um, let's see. The state respect it, well, it depends. Like we have, they disrespect the rights of vulnerable people all the time, whether that be how unhoused or not. And yes, we have a lot of problems with that. And it seems like vulnerable people are under attack a lot right now, and especially in this country. Well, I'm not going to say especially in this country. It happens worldwide. It's a thing. Or the parents are clergy. Um, People who don't have family to ask for help are high risk. Absolutely. Social structure is so important. That saying, it takes a village, no joke. Community and family support are key in getting our communities healthier and preventing homelessness. You want to prevent people from having lack of resources and lacking housing, then build community support. Reach out. Know when somebody's struggling, and don't know that they're struggling and judge them from your phone where you're talking about them. Know that they're struggling and reach out a hand. That's where it's at for sure. And that's prevention at its finest. Absolutely. Homeless have needs: mental illness, medical, drug abuse. Um, yes, homeless. But see, that's the thing, is that's where Elvira is, where homeless are people. People have needs: mental illness, medical, drug abuse, and a central center would include assistance. We have central centers. There are shelters with central centers in them. The thing is that homeless are not all the same. Some need different levels of care than others. Some cannot live on their own without assistance. Some, like myself, if people encroach on my environment, I will leave and go somewhere else. I don't want anybody's. I like my personal private space. Um, Meant to say that ABQ is designing a permanent tiny home village will be a start to help the homeless into housing. Yes, transitional housing, absolutely. Um, all right, Jules, I'll see you later. People in collective societies have lower homeless rates, in my opinion. Um, I don't know about that. I think that it depends. I agree if the collective society is coming from a place of a healthy society. But sometimes also in collective societies we see segregation and exclusion, and yeah, you have real careful. The thing is we have to get to the point where it's basic human rights. And honestly, habitat is part of health. And one thing that I try to tell people is, you have in the unhoused and vulnerable, and we're going to say vulnerable populations, they have a much higher rate of going to emergency rooms. This is very expensive. And most of the time, it could have been prevented with social work services or integrative medicine or whole health care. And just the savings in that, just just interrupting the emergent care where the underlying issues are not being addressed, could not only pay for housing, it would be a profit for the hospitals, and it would pay for the care of said individual. You know, the thing isn't funding. There's funding all over the place, but where are we going to streamline and save money and put it into places that, can work it? And one of the things that we are learning is it takes medical care. And that's social workers, that's doctors, that's, direct people with experience in dealing with those that are heavily traumatized. And I think that before, I've used it so many times, the mental illness, things like that. But I think the thing is before we start, just throwing around, mental illness, because it's not a blanket term. It can't be a blanket term. There are so many mental illnesses, and they affect everybody's life in such different, varied ways and in varying degrees, that there is no way we can just across the board say mental illness. We have to be like, if we're going to talk about it, we're going to talk about which one. And in a traumatized population, losing your habitat, losing your home, not, or even if you didn't have a home, being without a safe and stable place is trauma. It affects a person physically, and then they need care to overcome that trauma. Los Angeles, California has a large homeless population. It's not going away, so the mayor is stepping up to the plate. Do some people prefer the word unhoused over homeless? Yes, Shell. And I'll be honest, I actually prefer the term displaced. And as Elvira just mentioned, the homeless populations are going up. And there's been a lot of questions on the one night count as to whether it's accurate, and because here in Seattle, the numbers were lower than a lot of us thought they were. But here's the thing. Regardless of what is happening at this juncture with the disasters that are coming, natural, the flooding and the heat waves, people will migrate to where it is to where they can survive. And there are areas such as the West Coast where it is going to continue to grow, and we have to house people now, because what we're seeing is just the tip of the iceberg. And I'm not going to do a whole vlog at this juncture on climactic events and how it causes mass migration and all the threat multipliers that go along with that. But I will say that we haven't seen nothing yet. And the preparations are there, with a lot of us knowing what's coming. And it's frightening. It's frightening from a human perspective, it's frightening from an outreach perspective, and it's frightening from a humanitarian perspective. Habitat for Humanity is awesome. And I will be honest, they have I love what they do. They have a restore where they sell stuff. I know that some of the people, I did an interview with them. Is it Sound Builders or Solid Ground Builders? I did the interview with Camp Second Chance and their builders, and I know that they get some stuff sometimes from Habitat for Humanity. Mental illness is very multi-layered. It is, and it depends on what is what, but it's not enough for the size of the problem. Habitat for Humanity they help a sector of the vulnerable, but the people that, when they have Habitat for Humanity homes, they're paying for that home. It's the donation is in the time, and there's taxes to be paid, things like that. The thing that we want to see is the permanent supportive housing. Like for myself, knowing that if mental ill if I'm so sorry. When my mental illness strikes, which it does, and it always comes as a surprise sometimes, um, that I'm going to be okay, that I'm going to be safe, that I don't have a month to get over it before I'm kicked out and undergoing another trauma. That's what we want for people. We don't want people to have to continually worry about a basic, nobody's asking. And it was like that judge said when they were trying to argue that kids didn't need soap and toothbrushes and sleep. And he's like, we're not talking about luxury items here. We're not talking about, you know, the condo overlooking the bay. We're not talking about any of that. We're talking about a basic, clean, safe space for people to live in a healthy manner. And I think that across the board, that's what we need to want for people, is that if you want luxury, then get it. Go work for it. Have that. More power to you. But in the end, everybody deserves the right to live and live safely and live in a healthy manner. Let's see. Hi, where's Rowan? Can we see her? Rowan is a her, but hold up. Rowan, come here. Up here. Come here. Right here. Come here. Right here right now. Come here. Up here. That is the row. Do you want to say hello? Can you say hi? Yeah? That's Rowan. Hello, Ruben. Do I drive? And if so, how far away do I live from the beach? I have my license and I can drive, but because Social Security didn't come in and it took me a little while to get on my feet, I have not been able to get a vehicle. So I am hoping that that is in my future. And I believe that if I just were, keep doing what I'm doing and, things will work out. But yeah, I can drive. My seizures were with my medication controls that, so I'm in the clear. And the cool thing is, though, is I live extremely close to the beach. And so I don't need to drive there. I can walk there. And actually, I can kind of see it from my balcony, which is really nice. Did I see the response to Twitter to that? Someone was like, Somali pirates gave us soap and toothpaste. Yeah, it's human, right? I couldn't even believe, I am shocked at, I don't care, if they, anybody who you can't abuse people. Abusing people is wrong. There is no excuse. There is no, even prisoners in the justice or penal system, they have human rights. Nobody, you don't get to just shuck people's rights out the door because you don't like them. What? Like you, in child abuse. If that was a daycare or anybody else's house, we would storm. We would storm in there. What we do is storm now because children are actively being abused. We'll get shot. So that's quite the disconnect here. Emily says hi, Ro. Can you say hello to Emily? Okay. She's not much of, I am much better with a camera than she is. She doesn't like cameras as much. Thank you, Christine. I think she's adorable too. She's my faves. Please do a live chat with a view of the beach sometimes. I moved to West Coast long ago and I miss the beach. I will, but it probably won't be live. For some reason, when I try to go live, the service gets really, really spotty and it shuts down like it's doing today. And I don't know what's going on. My webcam's not in. I just look at it too though, I'm going through a lot of challenges right now. So it's like pebbles being thrown. I'm like, oh, not today. Not today. I got this. So yeah, I will. I'll just do a video or whatever of down at the beach. There's so many. And also, if you'd like pictures of the beach, yeah, you can find my Instagram at Manda J Richer. That's MandaJRicher on Instagram, and then you can see the beach and stuff. Okay, everybody, I am going to get going because I have chatted for about an hour now. And what is my week bringing to me? Oh, I don't know, and I'm scared to think about it. I know that I have a couple meetings for work, and I'm waiting on word to hear and see if I get any word on um, my son or my grandchildren. And if we get word, then I will most likely be making a trip to Colorado and trying to intervene somehow. I don't. So this week, I will be holding on to hope and doing my best to just hang in there. So that's what my week is looking like. And probably make more doggy blankets because like I like to keep my hand and mind busy, and so um, after I handed all the supplies out and stuff, I went and started working on matching people and dog blankets to hand out. So, you know. Okay, guys, I'm going to talk to you later. Wishing you guys the best, and you guys have a nice night. Bye. Oh, and remember, if you want to support my efforts, in the description there's a PayPal, and there is also an Amazon wish list. The wish list has supplies for people, and it also has personal stuff. It's pretty easy to tell which is which. You guys all have a blessed night, too. I will talk to you later. Bye. Bye, Alexander.